following program is intended for mature audiences.
It's the music, movies, and shows you love.
As if we care.
And hate.
You ain't gonna like it none.
And love to hate.
I didn't expect that at all.
This is The Broken Remote.
And coming to you live on tape on this Thursday, March 23rd, 2023. In the background, looking up at the TV, nothing like March Madness just tearing in to everybody's lives. Well, maybe not everybody. Who do you got in your bracket there, William?
I base it entirely off of which color is the prettiest. And
all right. So it's like betting on horses.
Doing better than most of my friends right now that actually care about seeds. So there you go.
Okay, nice. You had FDU. You had FDU through.
I'm just like that.
Two
looks
rounds.
Blue. I like blue more than green. Congratulations, you're gonna win this one.
Yeah,
and that's how my entire strategy has worked thus far.
It's like how my wife picks horses. You know, I like that color. Oh, that's a cool name. You know,
that's a pretty mane. Oh my God, lots of dots. He's gonna win. You're like, no, Thunder Striker every time. And next thing you know, 5 seconds later, Thunder Striker's being turned to glow. So
see you later, sayonara.
That's what you get for trying.
You performed very well there. Now here's your tub of Elmers.
What matters is you tried your best, but this is the real world, and no one cares anymore.
You know, here's a Googleable thing, because is that a fact? Do horses become glue?
Horses become glue? I think their hooves and stuff do. It's like there was some like how it's made episode or something way back in the day about glue and marshmallows, and you're just haunted when you realize that it's basically basically all the parts of a chicken nugget that aren't chicken, that's what becomes glue and marshmallows. That's what I learned.
Well, I'm looking it up now, and
by the way, still delicious. So I think that says a lot about people why they eat chicken nuggets, marshmallows, and glue. Like it's just good
glue.
Stuff. It's just good.
Yeah, I guess all animals become glue. They now it's all synthetic or whatever. But anyway, indeed, glue historically made from collagen taken from animal parts. So, ugh,
delicious! Oh, delicious! We're starting off strong. Peter's going to protest this podcast, and that's how you know we made it.
Yeah, right out of the gate. Well, we need pub somehow, so I'll take it any way, shape, or form.
Listen, the moment PETA protests you in any way, shape, or form, or goes to your apartment or home and throws blood on you, congratulations, you're famous.
Yeah, you've made it.
Yeah.
You've done it. You've done it.
Remember when they tried to get that guy who took a picture of a monkey and they sued him so the proceeds would go to the monkey? That's a good idea.
Is that a true story? I don't remember that one.
It's wild, dude. It's wild.
How new was that?
This is in the last 10, 15 years, I'll say.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a big span.
So it's not that new, but like
10, 15 years, I still think that's when the monkey ate the girl's face off, right? That's still the same
I feel like
frame.
that probably happened last week in some part of Florida, and you just you just missed it underneath all the other shenanigans. Someone gets eaten in Florida every day.
Yeah, well, by a snake, by a monkey.
Yeah.
Well, this monkey one, wasn't it? It was up in Connecticut, I think. The famous one with a woman, because I think she ended up going on.
Well, that's why it's famous, because it happened in Connecticut. Because Connecticut's, it's a boringer state. Not that much happens usually there. It's we went to my house in Connecticut. No, this was like
Connecticut people are losing their mind. What are you talking about? We're rich. We're loaded. Fuck off.
Yeah, like monkey eating face, or my trailer park / meth lab blew up and killed, unearthed a bunch of dinosaur
bones. Meth is big in Connecticut? That was one I did not know.
I'm saying this is a Florida story. This is a Florida. If that happened in Connecticut...
Oh, I see where you're going. Okay, gotcha.
If that happened in Florida, you're just like, it's a Tuesday. That's a Tuesday.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, that is Florida, right? Florida is kind of a state upon its own. Like, it's a
Florida
state, it's a country, it's everything.
Yeah, Florida is the national equivalent of Australia, in which it's this beautiful, what you expect to be beach community, but what you don't realize is that a majority of the people that live there now are descended from, cannibals and rapists and murderers that were just sent there, decades and decades ago, and they're like, we're just going to make this a gigantic prison colony, and eventually they don't realize, oh, they're going to have sex with each other, and now you have present-day Florida.
As somebody who lived in Florida for about 5 years, I'm not sure the accuracy of those statements.
Listen,
However,
I
if
will
we were to
stand
make
by
a
this.
Florida movie, that is going to be the background of every Florida resident within said movie.
You have clearly, you were probably in a nicer part. So my family, they live in Florida right now.
A nicer part of Florida, yeah. Wow.
There's sections of Florida, and there are there's the beach communities. Where my people live in Boca Raton, all the Jews.
All the Jews. I know.
Jews.
I've seen them all. I mean, not all the Jews. I mean, just all of Florida. I've seen all the developments.
There's only 7 of us.
There's only 7 of them.
So you may have seen all of us.
Right. Well, and I also live a little bit south of Ramapo, New York, where all the Hasids are. So, I mean, I've seen Jews in concentration quite a bit in the most past 20 years.
Can't use that word and Jew in the same sentence. That's going to get you.
You can say that. I'm not. But you can say that all you want.
I'm not here to judge. I'm just telling you how the rules work. That's all I do. That's the point of it.
I'm with you. I've heard the same thing, but again, I don't dabble in those waters. I'll leave those away, right?
I leave those to the people with blue hair that scream on Twitter. Okay,
right.
That's what I do.
I'll bash all the check boxing that you see in the Marvel world all you want, and everywhere else in pop culture but the religion one, I'm gonna stay away from that one. That one I'm gonna peel away from.
Yeah, no, fair. Yeah. Speaking of Ramadans today, everybody, how you celebrating?
Oh, Ramadan. That's a big one. Is it? I don't even know. Is it a big one?
I'm pretty sure it is. I have jokes, but, let's get the podcast off a little bit off the ground before I make any of those, so we have a reason to be canceled successfully.
Fair enough. Well, like we said, if we want to go back to it, Will's got all the winners because he picked all the good colors. So I think at one point he said purple.
Well, you can't say that. You can't say that either. Picked all the good colors.
Oh shit! Fired.
Landmine after landmine after land.
Fuck. Okay, so off the NCAA, but talking about the good ones. So at my work, which is a fantastic company, All Bite, super woke.
That's all of them now, dude.
I mean, it is. It really is every corporation, right? There's no difference between any.
I go on Zoom calls now, dude, and I don't know what it is about HR, but 50% of the people that work in HR in my company, they, them pronouns on their Zoom that they have right next to their name. You're just like, what is that?
Right.
Okay.
And I think the biggest problem I have with woke society right now, and not to turn this into a completely political fucking conversation, but it's everywhere, so you can't get away from it.
We're going to talk about Star Wars soon, so obviously it's got to turn into... Yeah.
Right, so it'll get there. Or any HBO property, which we'll talk about soon, any Disney property, which we'll talk about soon. It's all the same shit. So I think the biggest problem that I have with woke society right now is that it's the approach to the whole thing, right? Like, you were taught these lessons in life kind of when you were a kid, right? The assumption is to woke society is that, everybody is an ist, especially if you're white, male, and a Christian, right? So, I check all those boxes. So I'm fucking, I got the public enemy. I'm the public enemy guy in the crosshairs.
This is what you do. You move back to Florida. You get as dark of a tan as you possibly can, and you learn 3 words of Spanish, and you're like, hey, Holmes, and then you just do that the rest of your life. No one will ever know.
Wear a linen shirt, button down halfway, grow a little bit of a belly, try to get more hair on my chest.
You learn one Jewish prayer. Congratulations, you're a Hispanic Jew. No one's going to know what to do with you. They're going to be like, does he? I think he was.
We can't touch him. He's untouchable.
Yeah.
So, but
he beat the system.
He figured it out. The fucking guy figured it out.
Yeah.
It's just that these are like life lessons that you learn over like your parental bringing up, maybe religion, maybe school, maybe your friends. Like you just learn it in life. The wokeism is predicated on everybody being a fucking idiot, nobody having any life experiences, and everybody that possibly could be an ist being an ist. So when they do all of these initiatives, which are usually like some kind of stupid video training session with 10 questions at the end of it, it is like stupidly fucking childish. So I had to sit through one, right? I just had to sit through one.
I started my new job. I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing compliance training every day. Is like, please make sure not to, wear your like a sweatshirt with your company's name on it while murdering your spouse with a butcher knife. That looks really bad on us. We're not a fan. If you go to a lynching of some kind, please don't wear a baseball cap that says your company's name. Please don't do that. Ted did that a few years ago, and we'll never hear the end.
Oh, fucking poor Ted. Ted, it didn't work out. Ted, gone.
Yeah.
Sayonara, Ted.
Yeah.
So, but this one was great because it was one of your favorite hot button words from all the way back. Talking 2016, 2017. A word
time travel.
I had never. It is not time travel, but that would have been a great one, right?
That would have been great. I mean, I don't
know how they work time travel into my woke, training here, but
yeah. If I could time travel, what I would do? Oh, stop right there. Okay, what's the word?
I would go back and I would get rid of all of slavery, and then I would make sure that everybody got equal money all the way at the beginning. I get it. It's the same thing. Okay, all right. No, it is microaggressions. Yes.
The goat.
So,
snap finger. You can't clap because that's triggering. You have to snap.
Oh, you got to. So we can't snap? No. We have to, we can't clap. We got to snap instead. So
I went to some event with like an ex-girlfriend, and like that happened. They're like, no, we don't clap here. We snap because some people get triggered by loud noises. And I'm like,
boring.
Get the fuck out of here. I'm clapping away.
We're in New Jersey. Like, when does that happen here?
I don't. I never heard that, but yeah, there is no snapping. We clap.
Yeah.
So, a little historic background. When Will and I started working together in 2016, 2017.
Did something happen at that point? I don't remember in history.
Something happened. And so at that time, there was a little bit of a generational gap. Not that we were like that much difference in age, but I mean, he just had a little bit of younger frame of reference, and he started talking about all these fucking words I'd never heard about, and he brings up microaggressions, and I'm just like, I don't even know, and Will's just going on these rants. I fucking hate microaggressions. All this microaggression bullshit. I don't even know. And I'm like, hold on. I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, you don't know what microaggressions are? And I'm like, no, I don't.
They got me, man. They got to me.
Oh, dude.
I remember this conversation, by the way. I remember just like eventually realizing that you're just looking at, like, I was just ranting and you're going, the fuck is he talking about?
I never heard of microaggressions. I'm like, what is it? That's a fake word. You just made that fucking word up.
But in my defense, 6 months later, was it not everywhere?
6 months later, now try 6 years later, it is like more than everywhere. It is part of my corporate training, microaggressions.
Yeah, you get that old training at our old job. Charlie accidentally went to someone. Poor Charlie.
Oh, poor Charlie. That's right, Charlie.
Poor
Charlie.
Charlie accidentally grabbed the ass of one of his coworkers, and his coworker did not like that.
So the company we worked for, they would have these fucking video training sessions with this stuff, and they had, like a European, I don't know what, he had some kind of accent.
Yeah.
Was it European, English, or maybe, Australian, whatever it was. Poor Charlie.
It was like poshish English. I mean, the company they're located in Switzerland.
Yes,
they got a
right.
little bigger this last week too. Whoops.
That's right.
I'm sure we said the name of it before.
I'm sure we have, but who gives a shit?
Connect the dots.
It was poor Charlie. And every time you'd watch these fucking videos, Charlie would be doing everything. Charlie would get a fucking hooker and get caught and bring shame on his fucking firm.
Charlie accidentally walked into the office with a line of coke still visible under his nose. Poor Charlie.
Wouldn't it be great if those were the things? Charlie gets caught with 4 hookers and, 8 ball of coke by the police. Brings shame upon his family and his firm. What does he do now? Poor Charlie.
And he kept his job. You know what? That one person we worked with, they got in a little bit of trouble. He apparently kept his job after that whole thing.
That's right.
What do I know? Yeah.
Poor Charlie. Never wore condoms as he bounced around from girl to girl in the whorehouses. And now Charlie has AIDS.
Whoa.
Poor
girl to girl.
Charlie.
You're implying that Charlie's a cis straight man? What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, I know.
Maybe Charlie
I
was
shouldn't
banging
be.
dudes.
I shouldn't be assuming anything. Yes.
Wow, my God, it's almost like the last 6 years of indoctrination have done nothing to you.
No,
You
nothing at all.
join our cult or die.
That's it, right? Bend at the knee. So
My dad, I remember told me, he's like, those aren't real words. Like I remember him being like, this is overplayed. You're making these up. And then next thing you know, he had like some company thing where he's like, I just heard all those fucking words for real. What's going on?
fuck yeah, man. And so they did this. They did this microaggression training.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you think microaggression training is?
Microaggression training? I mean, I've definitely done it before to some degree.
Well, what do you think a microaggression is? You told me, right? So
yeah, I'm trying to. Dude, the word has like evolved and morphed since then. But it's how the dumbest things can be construed as like a sort of insult. I think is my definition.
Yeah, right.
So it's just like, well, you don't realize that you have a certain tone when you're talking to somebody because of this reason, and you go, no, that's
it's not an overt, stupid asshole thing that was said.
No, well, the thing is, and the reason what's so crazy about it is, like, half of it comes from the inferation. Is that a word? The inference? Yeah, the inference.
Inference? Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
However, the other party just infers what you're saying means.
Yes.
So you can be like, hope you're having a nice day, Jessica. And then Jessica will be like, what does he mean by hope you're having a nice day?
Exactly.
And you're just like, and next thing you know, that's a microaggression. You're in front of HR, and your HR has half of her head shaved. The other half is like down her eye, and she's talking to you about why she loves, the Yellow Wallpaper as her favorite short fiction. Which, if you aren't aware, literary viewers, that is a like super feminist scripture thing that they all like swear by that writing. But it's just wild. Just the amount of times like, I read The Yellow Wallpaper, and that really opened my eyes to what's going. Okay.
We're with you.
I also took English in high school.
Nothing
Crazy.
Impressive.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the microaggression is like when you say to a girl, it's like, oh, you didn't get a lot of sleep last night? And they're like, what the fuck did that
What do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Are you saying I look like shit? Microaggression, it was like, no, I just, like, you look tired. You're like, all right, now I'm in a fucking, now I'm in the spiraling down the toilet because I fucking just said that I thought you looked tired.
Which is now why whenever I have a work call on Zoom or in person, I just get this nice this paper plate like from preschool, and I'll draw a smiley face on it, put it over my face, and they never see anything anymore. It's just this smiley face, and I'll get like a Darth Vader voice changer so you can't read anything in my tone. And we're like, I hope you're having a nice day, Carolyn. And they'll be like, oh, that's so nice of him. I can't infer that in any other way.
Exactly.
But yeah.
So that was my understanding as well. And so I go through this microaggression training, and the first example of it, and I'm trying to remember the verbiage, and it was like, a grandmother is on the beach and goes up to a black male holding his child and says, you're one of the good ones because you stuck around to take care of your kid. And it was like, oh, whoa, fucking pump the brakes. That is not a microaggression.
Yeah, that's a little bit more.
That's fucking not a microaggression. You're one of the good ones who stuck around to take care of your kid?
Are you fucking retarded?
That's what that is.
Dude, that's it. Okay, I saw a bunch of comedians this last weekend, and one of the comedians had a bit about this. She's this lesbian Hasidic Jew, which is just like, talk about getting wires crossed there. That is two groups that are never supposed to meet. But she's talking about how she loves her grandmother, and she's super dry, this woman. She's like, I love old people because old people, the people get upset with them nowadays. They're fun to talk to because of their bigotry. Like, I go to my grandmother and she tells me I'm going to hell because I'm a lesbian. And I appreciate that because I know she's going to die soon, and I will dance on her grave when that happens. But let me have fun with this pure, unadulterated bigotry when it does. And you're just like, yeah.
That's it. That's the ticket right there.
Yeah.
And that's what was that was the first example. And the second example was a wheelchair and a girl in a wheelchair. And this was, I can't even imitate it because what they did was they then took an individual. Now, I don't know if they had a disability or they had a speech impediment, but whoever was doing the narration was I don't know, 20-year-old male with a speech impediment talking about a girl in a wheelchair. So it just, it sounded like something out of a South Park thing, right? And it was...
Woof.
It was Sally's in the wheelchair, and she gets complimented every day for being heroic as she just does her normal daily life. And it was like, whoa, all right, I really get the point on this one. Like the other one, I got the point. This one, I really get the point. But it was just so fucking, it wasn't a microaggression. These were fucking crazy shit. And the girl who was in a fucking wheelchair, I don't know, maybe she does dig people being like, yeah, that must really suck to be in a fucking wheelchair and push yourself around all the time, and you do it with a smile, and she'll be like, yeah, I hope I'm an inspiration to fucking other people. Why is that a microaggression? So one's blatant bigotry, and the other one's well, do we really know she's offended by this? And it was all of this is turned into microaggressions, and I'm like, all right, now I don't even know fucking where I am right now. I was on the beach, now I'm fucking drowning in a sea of fucking shit. I don't understand it. I don't understand any of it.
It is just kind of funny though, in a certain degree. I don't know. There's something about the people that have just overtaken the human resources department that are all going, I love to read. Oh, what do you love to read? What books? Fantasy novels about elves rescuing princesses and then princesses slaying the dragon instead. I'm like, cool. And that's all of you, and then they all nod their head in unison, and you're just like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
And some people might hear that and go, well, that's not true. Well, you haven't talked to human resources recently or been onboarded at a company, because it is.
Go in the closet and drink the fucking punch. What?
Yeah.
Okay. So, the training was just, so all over the place. And like I said originally, the thing about wokeism is it's dude, I'm not going to walk up to somebody of a different nationality and tell them that they're one of the good ones. What are you, fucking crazy? Nobody even does that anymore.
Dude, think of how wild that would be, though. It's kind of funny.
I sent the video of it. I'm not going to play it here just because copyright or whatever. But I sent the video to one of my friends down in Georgia, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna walk up and do that on the beach, and hope I don't walk away with a bullet in my head." It was just, let's be real here, right? Number one, I don't know if any of this stuff deserves to be in an office, right? I still am just of the firm belief that businesses do work, and that's what you're there to do. You're there to do work. Don't be an asshole. If you are an asshole, you get fired.
It is it is supposed to be a nice, safe ground full of cushioning.
That's
and
right, safe space.
If I encounter ideas I don't like, I'm allowed to sit on the floor and cry, and that's what it's
and
about.
There was another thing that went into safe spaces, and it was just look, man, I get it. I understand the world's a shitty place. I've been picked on just as much as everybody else has for something along my life. Mm-hmm. But it's you get to be in a corporate environment. It's look, dude, we are all at a minimum probably 21 years old. Maybe some interns are younger than that. But a majority of the people here are probably 35 to 55. You're talking about 5 decades walking this earth. How many fucking assholes are there in corporate America that these human resources department think that this is a really big problem?
It's just so weird that it happens. And there are elements of that I think that are okay. But that's how they do unironically say safe space in meetings now. And I go, this is a safe space to talk about any questions you have. And I go, oh, that word. But the real problem is when that bullshit gets into my TV shows. That's when I lose it.
Well, let's just start off. Let's start off with because that'll be the jump off point to go into HBO's fantastic or maybe not so much Last of Us.
I thought it was good. I personally don't have much to say. I knew where it was going. I liked the finality. Season 2, it sounds like, is underway. The problem with season 2 is that it's going to be based on the second game.
Which didn't do that good, right?
Oh, it did good. It's just incredibly controversial.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, don't ruin any of it because I don't know.
I'm not gonna say anything. I know what they're gonna do. I'm just not gonna say anything. How about that? There we go. I'm gonna close my mouth. I know where it's going. I've got a lot of thoughts on it.
Well, see if they stick to it, right? Because I guess
it sounds like they're going to, because I think they're riding high off. Let's just put it this way: the third game / season, if they make it, if that's based on the third game, won't do as well.
Well, I haven't even. Yeah. There is a third game.
They're apparently making it. I'm assuming after the show they have to, because I'm sure it like bumped up those figures.
Well, I mean, it really depends on viewership, right? Because they've caught kind of lightning in a bottle with this. It's definitely not a Game of Thrones, House of Dragons following, but
there's nothing else to watch. Like, what other major shows going on? Like right now, like you have to have like one big show. It's right. Like when you put like a bunch of movies out, you want to be the movie of that weekend.
Right. Well, HBO has a knack for at least having one or two shows out at every given time, right? So they don't have a lull in the schedule. I think Succession's heating up right now, which I have never watched, but I might actually pick up. Yeah. That I might just pick that up from episode 1, season 1, and then just jump in and hopefully catch up, because that'll be good to hit on the treadmill elliptical machine, so I can get my fucking fat ass back into shape here.
Yeah.
But, so Last of Us right now, I don't know what else was going on during that time, but that wraps up, and I mean, like Ted Lasso just shot off for Apple TV.
You mean the guest at the White House? Oh my God,
the guest at the White House. I know, it's unbelievable, right? Like, and during that whole thing, then they had that big controversy because the reporter from the African Times or whatever African journalist paper or network just started openly having a beef in the middle of the fucking press conference.
Speaking of, and this is maybe I'm just like, this is me being stuck in the collar world for too long now. But did you see his fucking shirt when he was at the White House talking to the president? I don't know, like.
You're talking about Lasso? You're talking about Sudeikis? Wasn't he dressed up kind of like? I don't know. Wasn't he dressed up kind of like Lasso? Was it?
I think kind
sweater,
of like
sweater with
You mean the fucking president, dude? Like, I know your wife cheated on you with that kid that everyone.
Oh, was Olivia Wilde with Harry Styles?
Was it. Yeah. I know that makes you a little butthurt, buddy. But like, you're seeing the fucking president. Maybe don't wear a fucking windbreaker to the White House. I don't know.
Was it a windbreaker? Let's see. Jason Sudeikis, White House. Because I was just focused on the guy losing. It's like a Ted Lasso. It's a T-shirt. Yeah, it's a T-shirt. Well, it's a collared shirt underneath a sweater.
Okay, you know what? Jason Sudeikis. I slightly take it back. That said, I will always forgive him because that was a pretty baller way to fucking serve your wife divorce papers. Did you see that?
No. How do you do it?
It was when she was so the movie that she met Harry Styles and cheated on him with, that one that came out like a year ago.
The cover of it, they're laying in bed.
Don't worry, darling. That apparently no one liked.
Okay.
But apparently while she's like presenting something about it in this big stage in front of a bunch of people, this person slapped a letter on like the stage that she was on, and she's like, "This is for me." And she opened it, and those were like, that was how he served her.
And good for you.
To get the guy in there, you had to like buy some expensive ass tickets. So the guy either like snuck his way in there. If it was on purpose, that's petty as fuck, and it's kind of hilarious.
Definitely petty as fuck. Definitely, definitely funny. This Sudeikis, through this whole thing, though, you read the stories where didn't the babysitter sue them because Sudeikis basically just like dropped all of his fucking feelings on her at all times, And she was
The
just like,
babysitter?
like I'm traumatized, like the babysitter or the au pair or whatever. But basically, it was like,
I didn't hear that at all.
yeah,
What the
read
fuck?
this articles, but I'm pretty sure that he kind of just like lost his mind because his wife was cheating on him. He knew it, and he didn't berate the girl, but he just dropped all of his shit on her. And she was like, "Yeah, I'm doing an accent but I just signed up to watch the baby. I do not know, why she fucked Harry Styles, and I don't know what accent that is either. But
Dude, I mean, you can't tell me that does not break your heart. Like if I was that dude, I would totally snap.
Oh, I mean,
100%.
for sure. But it was just kind of funny because you read the stories and it was like he didn't just like snap. Like he like lost his shit. He was just like, "Oh my god, my baby! She's fucking Harry Styles. What the fuck is going on?"
I mean, to be fair, like Harry Styles seems like the kind of guy that I genuinely think a light breeze could knock over. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
but he's got like the painted fingernails and everything.
Yeah,
and,
which is so weird. Like some girls just find that it's like you talk to some girls like I think Pete Davidson's attractive, and you go, really?
Yeah, I know
that guy. Like Harry Styles has the bone structure, but him and Timothy Chalamet and Pete Davidson, I genuinely think you could kill with a super soaker.
But you would imagine for Sudeikis, right? Because like Sudeikis kind of looks and sounds as though his Ted Lasso and SNL persona is just his persona, right?
That's probably
like,
Well, I mean, he probably is one of those guys that just rides off. I mean, like John Belushi. Who's that other SNL guy, the really fat one?
Chris Farley.
Chris Farley. Like, were they good actors? No. But were they funny people that like could just play these characters that were just a version of them really well? Yeah.
Right.
And that's what I'm there for.
And like Sudeikis, I just look at Sudeikis and I'm like, man, he was married to Olivia Wilde. He must have thought every day, like, I completely outkicked my coverage.
Dude, yeah.
And so all of a sudden, she's like not like banging like just a regular Joe that's comparable to him. She's like banging Harry Styles. So he must have been like, oh my God, the things he must be doing with her. She's so hot. I shouldn't have her anyway. And
dude, 100%.
He's got painted nails.
That's the part that would fuck with me.
They probably have a sex swing and fucking 12 vibrators going at the same time.
I'm about to pull some, like, this is where, if this was 200 years ago, 100 years ago, if that happened, if this, essentially this twink of a man fucked your hot wife.
Fucking Sudeikis as a twink.
No, no, I'm saying Harry Styles.
Oh, you're going the other way around.
Harry, no.
Yeah, it
Harry
makes more
Styles,
sense. Although I was thinking of Sudeikis as a twink, and that made me laugh
Harry
too.
Styles, let's see, he's 6 feet. That means he's 5'11". Get the fuck out of here. You're 6 feet tall, Harry Styles, you dumb bitch.
Oh, you're a sizist. You fucking
of course
sizist.
I am. 6'5" right here, motherfucker. Do you have any idea how many people that are like, dude, you're 6'5"? So am I. And I'm like, you're not even 6'2". Get the fuck out of here.
I know what 6'5" is, motherfucker.
Yeah. I know height. My family has raised me height as this out. And let's see, Jason.
You're such an ist.
I really am. Like, the moment this isn't acceptable anymore, he's got a 1/4 inch, supposedly. 6 1/4.
Warwick Davis hates you.
Yeah, he definitely. Well, now that his show got canceled, I'm sure he hates me even more.
Oh, which one got canceled? The new Willow?
The Willow got canceled. Yeah.
I could have told you that from my.
Yeah, but dude, like if this was 100, 200 years ago, like Jason Sudeikis would take a club and he would beat Harry Styles to death, and like in the town square, and that would be okay. Like they'd be like, "Oh, I heard he was fun. I heard that Harry Styles was fucking Mrs. Sudeikis over there. Oh, what quite the affair." And then you just see Jason Sudeikis be like, "Oh, really?" And then just 5 seconds later, he would mount Harry Styles' head on a stick in the front lawn. But now all of a sudden, because of feelings, we can't have Jason Sudeikis punch a guy out in public anymore. How stupid.
We should go back to the way that it was. Hey, give me a hot second here as my youngest just came down. We'll be right back after this. And we're back.
And we're back.
Yeah, little guys after 9 o'clock, so their screen time went off. And so I had to give them a little extra time. No, not a big deal. So, but yeah, if we were to go back in time, like you said, Sudeikis probably would be allowed to try to chop this guy's head off and hold it up in front of a crowd of people.
And that's kind of what I want to go back to. Like, does that law of the land like things would be a little bit like people wouldn't be worrying about safe spaces. They'd be like, "You're not allowed to stab me in here in my safe space," and it's like, no, you have. You got the last thing of Pillsbury cinnamon rolls in the grocery store? I don't think so.
We're doing it's Darwinism, right? It goes back to the Darwinism.
It's going to happen. The moment that first nuke goes off, like we are hanging together by a thread, man. The moment they make one more bad Star Wars movie, and people have an excuse to just lose their minds.
They're doing plenty of work on the Mandalorian. But so, I mean, we're kind of getting a pictorial of this, end of the world scenario in Last of Us, and which
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, we were Last of Us, yeah. And I mean, it was successful in many regards. At least I thought. Toward the end, I kind of got a little frustrated. Tell me if you feel the same or not, but. Like, it just kind of felt like every single episode ended up being like an encapsulation of
like a bottle episode.
Yeah, like a single like a single character, their backstory, and it was like, okay, so what have we covered in this travel? Now, probably more successful as a video game because you're playing out all these different scenarios.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, honestly. Like, it's the fact because it's level to level, and so the guys that made the game, they talk about it where. Like, yes, you have a zombie world and, like, we want to get a cure, but that's really just kind of a fallback for why those two characters are together, like Joel and Ellie. And the real story is, let's see how they kind of bond with one another. And that's kind of what, like, I was there for in those last few episodes. And that's why the last episode with, that whole thing that happens, I thought was really good.
Well,
we could spoil it, yeah.
It's funny. It's funny because if you go back 2 episodes, and I don't know if we talked about this one or not, but the Christian cannibalism.
No, we didn't do that one yet.
Right. Okay. So, like that episode in the game, because Joel ends up getting stabbed and he's out of commission, and in the game, all of a sudden you stop playing as Joel and you start playing as Ellie, right? And I guess in the game, I did not play the game, so I don't know. But allegedly, it was a very cool part of the game, was when you flip-flopped and now all of a sudden you're Ellie. And so that happened narratively in this story because in, I think, the next to last episode, if I'm not fucking them up, she ends up going, he's out of commission, she ends up going to this Christian getaway where, I mean, she ended up going there to try to get, they found her while they were hunting and she was hunting, and then she wanted to get medicine, so she got the medicine. And anyway, she ends up back at this Christian place. I think they captured her and brought her back maybe. But the guy was trying to convert her, and, she ends up fighting her way out. But again, it was like, okay, well, think about like the one-off characters we invested an episode or 2 of time in. And I know that it's just the game playing out on screen. But originally it was, what's his name? The guy from Parks and Rec. Oh, my God, I just forgot his name. Not Neil Swartzen. Jesus Christ, I'm screwing up. Nick
Offerman.
Nick Offerman, right? Yeah. So Nick Offerman, we had that one-off episode, and then it's like, we figured out what the radio part was because they were listening to the '80s music, right? So that was one. We had, who was the older girl, not older girl, but I guess she was in her 30s, whose brother got killed, and she was the leader of all the bad guys in Kansas City, maybe.
Just random girl, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
right. And she had and she was chasing after the black dude. I forgot his name.
Yeah, exactly. Sam. Sam might have been his brother.
Sam might have been his brother, right? But he ended up killing her brother, and so she was like hunting him down. So then you get those guys. You get all invested in that. She gets offed by some of the zombies for I don't know what technically they keep mentioning like the name of the mushroom fungus that eats everybody, but I just call them zombies.
Cordyceps, yeah.
Cordyceps, yeah.
Did you see the one?
Cordyceps. Fucking straight money.
We may need to bleep this, but there is this great tweet I saw from Pedro Pascal or something like that, and it was just like, it was very strict on set. They didn't want to call it zombies at all. No, they said only you can call it the Z word at most. And then the top comment was, Zagat.
Zagat. Like Zagat, the
No, it's the
food
Z
review place?
No. Like you can only call. It's like you couldn't call them zombies. Only the Z word, Zagat.
Oh well, yeah. That's always Zagat is
like,
yeah. Okay, so you're not saying literally like it was. What is it? It's just a figure that they came up with a word.
Just an offensive word swapped with a Z. Yeah, but no, it's solid.
Well,
I think
Zagat isn't an offensive word, right? Am I missing something? You're just saying how ludicrous it was that they just came up with Zagat, right? Or is Zagat a bad word?
No.
Because I'm thinking of this.
Put an F instead of the Z.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
You're doing great, buddy. You're doing great.
You are a stupid asshole.
That's exactly what he is.
Oh, my God.
It's okay.
So
No, it's cool.
stupid.
It's cool. Yeah, we're just not going to talk about it.
And boom goes the dynamite.
All right.
It's okay. It's cool. We're just not going to bring it up ever again.
He said that. No, that's what he quoted it, or
chill.
it was a comment in the
It's
thing.
chill. It was just someone commented on
Somebody
it and they got like
commented
a
on
bunch of likes. Yeah, but just like nice.
It just you said it, and all I kept thinking about was this Zagat survey. I didn't get it. God damn.
You see, this is. It would help
such
if it
a
was
good
written
one-liner.
down. I will slightly defend you if it helps if it's written down. You see it that
if you
way.
did it with 2 G's, I would have got it. So.
Yeah, that 100%.
I just killed all the comedy that was in that fantastic fucking tidbit.
It's a great joke. It's a great joke.
It's like the SNL comedy killer. What is Rich Eggy's fucking ability to see the punchline without it actually being spelled out for him? Yep.
Whoopsie.
No, that's it. It should have been this. I keep fucking up. Anyway, so zombies or whatever. So they kill her. And then Sam or Sam's brother, whichever one, he kills himself after what he shot his
he shoots his
nephew by ankle or whatever. Yeah. So he gets offed, and then we meet Ellie's girlfriend, and then you would imagine they're going to bring her back for like the send off.
Who, the one in the mall?
Yeah, the one in the mall, because
no, she's dead. She's dead.
No, I know that she's dead, but like they went about showing all of that up to the point like of them getting bit. You would imagine that because it was a big deal for Ellie. She talked about it, and that ultimately was like the girl that was the person she killed, because she obviously killed her. But like you think that they would capture that moment and eventually put it on camera, no? Like in a flashback.
I think it's maybe, but it's weird for me because I know what's going to happen. I know where the story's probably going to go based on everything from me knowing like the games and like knowing what's going to happen in the sequel.
And so that's probably in the past, is what you're saying.
Yeah, like that's move past it.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, move past it. But like, and this is going to be bigger in the upcoming season when they make that. But and I can't get too into it. But the crux of what so many people liked about this game was like the gameplay was good, the graphics were okay. They updated them a bunch of times. But it's really like the story of those two characters that just sold people on these video games. It was like the dynamic between Joel and Ellie, which has basically been redone in the God of War games and Hunt for the Wilder People and Mandalorian and every other show that you'll see. And The Witcher, just every other show where they have like a father individual, like a young ward who they have to protect.
Okay, so at the end of every episode, they always had the directors going into this deep, like, well, what we wanted to show here in this episode is how, the attachment of life to each other spawns elsewhere in the environment around us. It just got all fucking super deep, right? And I'm like, dude, it's zombies eating people's fucking faces and gunplay, and let's not kid ourselves.
I think it's cool that they have a couple really well-written characters. Like, not all the characters that are well-written. Like, you're not pulling a Game of Thrones. You have 9 episodes here, and you have some decent characters, but the real show stealers are Joel and Ellie. Like, that's what I'm here for.
So that's where I wanted to go with this. So that they do all these deep, post credit scenes with all the directors and showrunners. And they kept talking about that specifically, about the relationship between Joel and Ellie. And you thought it was successful?
I thought it was good. I think but that's what's going to make the second season so interesting because they take it kind of from where it is now and they'll do some stuff. But I thought it was good. I thought it was good.
That was the one part that I just kind of I thought kind of whiffed. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it was just that Pedro Pascal. I mean, he's great. I love him in the random things that I see him in. But like in this,
he did everything.
Joel in this show to me was like really reserved, right?
He's kind of like that in the games too, from what I get. But the big difference is because it's a show, and you got an hour per episode, and you got one episode that's barely about Joel. There's another episode where he's barely there. Like you're basically boiling sub 9 hours to try to cover something that's probably done with gameplay where you're controlling Joel over probably like 20 to 30.
Sure.
And there's probably a lot more than just that's like just on Joel himself. And they probably got these little back and forth moments with him and Ellie in the game that people love that you can't really condense into a show somehow. I think they were really just kind of taking like the cutscenes, not the gameplay where the character like nowadays you play a video game, you're slashing some like fucking orc monster with an axe. And the characters are doing like a back and forth heart to heart while they're killing monsters. Like there's just so much more talking than what you can do in just the cutscenes. It's crazy.
Yeah, I guess maybe because of the longer amount of time that the game itself takes, that it kind of lets you digest this relationship more than on screen. Because for me, I mean, it wasn't an entire whiff. Like I got it. You know, they showed the daughter dies. And then that obviously there is, this adoption process of Joel, of Ellie as he goes along. And then I remember one of the episodes, he refers to her as baby or something, or there's some kind of, whatever endearing term that he says to her at the end when he like rescues her from something. And
that's what he said to his daughter.
That's what he said to his daughter, and he said it to Ellie.
Because he's carrying there's like a parallel with the way he's carrying Ellie out of the
right. That's what I'm saying. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like what they're going for.
And so
this weird twisted redemption. It's not a redemption.
And the showrunners were talking about, and then he used whatever word it was, sweetie or whatever, and then he called her sweetie, and that was the first time they called her sweetie in the whole thing. And I'm like, you know what? Okay. Like, it just didn't hit me for some reason.
Yeah. I think it's this weird mix where, because like the game is so much longer, but if you added so much of that extra stuff into the show, like it's just such a different. It's why there's no good video game movies or TV shows until really, I guess this is the first real one. Because it's just such a hard medium to copy over.
Impossible. Yeah, I agree.
And so, like you just have so many. We'd be like, this show's so fucking boring every 3 episodes until something happens. Then back to 2 episodes of nothing. They're talking, okay, but I think for what it is and making like a video game show, it was successful.
Like I just wonder if somebody with more range than Pedro Pascal would have done the show better.
I think he's just kind of he's a really reserved character. And unless you have like those, like the whole thing of him getting fleshed out, like there's a scene of him on the horse talking to Ellie about like how to play football. Like you need so many of those little scenes to make like his personality really come through. Because this is this reserved guy who's seen some shit over 20 something years. And they're trying to like boil this down in between action scenes. So you're really getting like, let's say 10 minutes an episode of Joel being like buddy with Ellie, or having an emotional scene with her. Like right. It's just a matter of time. It's like the complete, like you see this with so many of these limited series now where they'll either have too many characters or they're just trying to put too much food on their plate for what they can accomplish. Like there's that Witcher Blood Origins show, which was god awful.
Yeah, I have not picked it up.
Dude, Michelle Yeoh, great job for winning that Oscar. You were fucking trash in that show. That show was atrocious. But yeah, they went way. That was a perfect example of you just trying to bite off way more than you can chew in a very reserved amount of time.
Well,
but I think it was successful. I mean, there's so many other shows that are just.
I'm just wondering, like, I'm trying to think, what if it was somebody else? Would it have had a different? And I'm thinking of like actors in their 50s, and I'm trying to, but you got to think of somebody that would have taken part of this show, right? Like, like I don't know if you could go Hugh Jackman, he would fucking nod it off, right? But I'm trying, Paul Rudd. No, I mean, you would just think Ant-Man every time you saw him.
Get Owen Wilson. I'd love to watch Owen Wilson. Wow, got eaten by zombies, huh? Wow.
But even so, like I don't know, like something like a Statham, something with more energy. I don't,
I don't even think Statham is. Statham's just like, what? Huh?
Yeah. Well, it would be just comical with him. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was just something to me, at least, and maybe I'll get over it in season 2. Maybe, like you said, it's just for the lack of actual hours of the show that there's been. There's only been 9, right? So
yeah. I'm not going to comment on that. I think I already know what your reaction is going to be based on what you're saying right now to season 2.
Oh, okay.
I'm not gonna say anything to not spoil it.
Okay, don't.
But yeah, okay. But overall, I thought it was solid. I'm gonna give it 8 out of 10. I think for the whole series, honestly, that would be my rating. Like, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
There's probably more flaws than I'm thinking about, but it was fun. It was. I liked the main characters at least, and if it was just this one season, I'd be so happy. But it's not going to be, and they're going to run into a Mandalorian problem. Let's just put it that way. Where you're like, you should have just ended it here, man, and it would have been so good.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I would go with like 7 out of 10, at least for this season. Maybe it would pick up, in the next season. And, with the last 10 minutes here, you just brought it up, and we mentioned, Disney earlier. Mm-hmm. And Mandalorian... I don't know. You need to watch more to really digest all the shit that I'm going to drop on this show. Because
to go for it, buddy. If they do another episode of any Star Wars show on fucking Tatooine, I am going to scream.
They do love that goddamn planet.
I know you made a couple sets there, Disney. That's cool. Can you shut the fuck up already about that goddamn planet? It is a desert outer rim with no resources. Why is everything there? Luke Skywalker was spirited away there for no reason, and they cannot get rid of it.
Yeah, I think everything about this season, and to be completely honest, they kind of like get off Tatooine pretty quick. So, but...
It's the fact that it keeps coming up, though, dude. It's just like they go off to another cool... The first season of Mandalorian was so good because it was just he's a bounty hunter. He's going to random planets. There's kind of this overarching plot with Baby Yoda. And
right,
now
they did the Incredible Hulk in space.
Exactly, but now it's like they're trying to have an actual plot. It looks like it's not as cute as it was before.
I think it's completely opposite. Like, I think that I don't think that they care about the plot. I think this season, for whatever reason. And this is my biggest goddamn problem with the show right now, is that they are now using this show as like filler for the grander universe and the other plot lines that exist elsewhere. And so this show now doesn't exist on its own, where it did in the first season. Right? In the first season, it was the Mandalorian. You're finding out a little bit about him. You're finding a little bit about this clan that he's a part of and this package that he's trying to take care of. Right? And that's what it was. And that's all that's all that happened up until the second season when all of a sudden, you introduced, Luke Skywalker at the very end there. And then it's like, wow, this whole got really bigger. This whole fucking world just got really bigger now because now there's tangibility. And then that leaked into Book of Boba Fett, which then went into Ashoka. And then that goes all the way back to, Clone Wars and Anakin Skywalker.
Much, dude.
And, in this season now, we have gone, like, all over the place. And, like, last week's episode, not this week's episode, but last week's episode knocked off fucking Grogu and Mandalorian all together. And it was an entire episode about the clone doctor from season 1. and his, he gets captured by the by the Rebel
Do you want
Alliance.
to know who? Do you want to know who directed the newest episode?
Well, that episode or the newest episode?
The Foundling. It's number. I guess
That's
it was
the newest one. I'm not talking about that one. But
okay.
Coral Weathers directed that one.
Dude,
Yeah.
what?
It was Apollo Creed directed it. And let me tell you, he's not a good director. I'll get to that episode in a hot second. But the last episode, it was all about this. And it was like, what are we doing here? Why are we talking about the clone guy? The only reason we're talking about the clone guy is because you're going to try to link this into Palpatine, because now through books and comics and other random shit, you're trying to explain J.J. Abrams' insane decision to just throw Palpatine back into the fold without explaining where he came from. And now you're using other properties to try to backfill it, as though you're unhappy with the incomplete story, and now your lone mission is just to fill it up to make one whole piece that, people can point to and be like, oh, all the plot holes have been figured out. And nobody wants that out of the show. Like, nobody gives a shit. Nobody. And you've ruined something that was really good, and I don't understand why. Outside of some kind of corporate want.
Yeah, what are you thinking of the
Bo-Katan?
What do you think about that Bo-Katan character, by the way? Because she is getting really thrust in the show, from what my one friend was telling me.
I mean, this season has not been about Mandalorian at all, right? And him and Grogu were just there, and they're like, oh yeah, it's fucking Mutt and Jeff, they're just fucking hanging out, right? So. Bo-Katan comes through. So here's another part of everything. They're throwing all these new storylines and characters at you, whether or not they're new. Clone Wars, we follow that, et cetera, et cetera. But there's just shit that just doesn't make sense. So, Bo-Katan, did you watch Boba Fett?
I just watched the first. Boba Fett I watched. Did not like
Boba Fett. You watched? I don't remember. Was she in Boba Fett? She was only in 1 and 2.
She might have been in. She was definitely in Mandalorian 2, season 2. I don't know about Book of Boba Fett, but no one cares about Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, maybe she wasn't in that, but
John
she
Favreau
loses
wrote a lot of this season. Actually, I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, that can't be right. He must be just getting those credits just for points, so that he could be making money on this. There's no way.
Usually, the way it works is what they do is they have the writers' room. They'll give the main writer credit, but in reality, they maybe had the concept. This happens in most shows in Hollywood, and then and they probably have a bunch of other writers that do all the smaller shit while basically saying, no, John Favreau. No, of course he did it. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, because the story in 1 and even a lesser degree 2 were well thought out, well told. It was very much kind of like Iron Man, the original Iron Man, right? You could tell, or any Favreau vehicle that was successful, right? Like an Elf or an Iron Man, or you want to do go all the way back, Swingers, and he did Made, whatever it might be. This season is just all over the goddamn map. They're touching upon things that maybe not the most diehards know about. Grogu, he was great when he was just a bit player and you didn't see him move around all that much. Now they have him moving around constantly. And it's the puppeteering of it is just bothersome, because they're doing it with puppets, because obviously they understand from Lucas's mistakes, the CGI part doesn't work, right?
It just yes, but also it was just bad-looking CGI. That said, based on the budget that they currently have for CGI, which they are just beating into the fucking ground because they're just torturing their VFX artists, maybe it's good to just stick with the puppets? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I always thought that Star Wars with puppets was more successful than Star Wars with CGI, right? Jabba the Hutt is awesome because you could touch him, I mean, he was there. It was practical. Leia crashed into him. And then you see Jabba in all the remakes where they make him digital, and it's no, he sucks that way. And they had to try to play in a way, oh, no, he got fatter as time went on. He was skinnier before, or whatever. But here in Grogu, he's so small that the puppeteering is not working for me. I'm just kind of no, it's a fucking puppet. I'm not buying the Grogu puppet anymore because there's just too much of it.
No, you put it on coffee mugs. It's like a minion now. It's like a minion, and how it's been just completely turned into a marketing thing. And now they can't not have it because they're just Think how many dollars we'll lose.
Right.
Fuck your story.
And
how did we not think of this? That's what the Disney executives are screaming at each other.
Yeah, and I need you to watch these episodes because I can't refer to some of these things, and not have you know it and have it make sense. But like the last episode, the one that Carl Weathers directed, and that was another thing. On text message off pod, I was writing this. We were going back and forth, but like the directing has just taken a fall back. Like the transition between scenes is just choppy at best. So now in this episode, they just they go here, something happens, then all of a sudden there's a wipe, and then Bo-Katan tells them what you as a viewer need to know so that they can make a wipe and then go to the next scene and have you understand what it is. And it was that was so jumpy and made no fucking sense outside of the fact that you needed to tell us what was going on or else we'd have no clue. Right? And it was just in the first episode, you never felt that. It wasn't okay, I need to tell you what's going to happen 2 scenes from now, so I have to do a random cutaway scene, tell you what it is, and then do another random wipe, and then, and put you back in it. And it just feels like shitty 80s, 90s television. It doesn't feel like a theatrical production anymore. And
it's so weird, too, because, and we talked about this when we were, obviously texting back and forth. But it's just you spend $4 billion on this property, on one of the biggest properties that has been created in movie. This created the blockbuster series of movies.
Yes.
I don't think there was anything that was a trilogy like this beforehand. I'm probably completely missing one that I'm completely blanking on. But as far as I'm aware, Star Wars 4, 5, and 6, maybe you had a sequel. The Goonies too. I don't know.
No, but this made movies what they ultimately ended up being.
But you spent $4 billion on this, and granted, the prequels had their issues, but I just the complete just inability to make a new character that lands with an audience at all is crazy. And then they make all so. Let's just lay this out. They buy Star Wars. They make their sequel trilogy, except for Kylo Ren's cool mask and maybe a couple BB-8 toys. I don't know anyone that cares about anything from that franchise.
Nothing. That new trilogy is dead. Yeah. 86th.
Yeah. Exactly. Order 66th.
Order 66th.
Boom. I'm good one. But and you're not being sold on Kylo Ren's personality. It's just he's just fucking Diet Darth Vader. Let me go grab a Diet Coke from my fridge. That's what Kylo Ren is of Darth Vader. He has a cool looking mask and outfit, but it's not the same imposing force. They're just these shameless copies that just don't capture what the original did at all. And then you finally get they just handed. I'm convinced. Jon Favreau was hey, can I get a shot? And we don't know what the fuck we're doing. Okay, these fucking movies were not. And they're panicking about that in a room. Jon Favreau goes off on his own. He's well, what do people like? Boba Fett, they're not doing anything there. I'll make a TV show about why people liked Boba Fett, but it won't be with Boba Fett. It'll be my own original character that's captured the exact essence of why people loved Boba Fett. You have the cool armor. He's a bounty hunter traveling around. Oh, here's Baby Yoda for marketing purposes and add a little bit of zest, spice, mystery into the mix. And you go,
sure.
Oh, shit. This is the reason I love Star Wars. And the executives immediately, they must have hurt their necks from whipping their head around to be what? This is doing well? And Star Wars? But Solo just failed. More of that. Make more of that. And then they make 40 billion fucking Star Wars shows.
And then all they do is break it.
Yeah, of which Andor was the only one, apparently, that was anyway decent.
Andor was good.
Yeah, and then, but you can't really market anything off of Andor. No. It's a little more adult. So there you go. They're not making as much money as they could.
Well, Andor is a show. It's a show.
Exactly, but it's an adult show. It's not you're not making Baby Yoda galore or porgs or fucking Ewoks to sell to children for Christmas.
Remember those things? Holy shit.
Yeah, where are they now? Gone.
Nobody cares.
But it's crazy because now you have all these failed because they tried to copy what the Mandalorian did. They failed, and now I'm pretty sure what's happening is all the people that were fucking up on these movies and then on these TV shows at Star Wars, everything's kind of collapsing around them, and I think they're all just coalescing on the Mandalorian because this is the only real successful project or new content that they've made. And now you just got too many cooks in the kitchen, and Jon Favreau's probably either trying to keep his head above water or just fuck it, they say they'll give me money to do some other project I want to do now, and I'll go do that once I can finally just write this off.
And it does, and I agreed with you when you wrote that, because it does feel like there's multiple hands now in this.
Yeah.
Like it's not just Favreau. You know.
No, 100%. No, you gotta have this much. We have to see Grogu every week. That's what the kids want. The kids love Grogu. Kids, we need to see Grogu this amount of time. Grogu's gotta. You should make Grogu fight. Yeah, Grogu should be a fighter in this. No. You should have Grogu with laser eyes. Kids love that. We can send a Grogu toy with laser eyes.
All right, that's it. All right, I'm kicking out there. We're not talking about this anymore because you have to watch the rest of the episodes. You have to watch them.
Oh wait, did I nail something?
Yeah, like I mean that your comments there would lead on to more critique that I have, and like you have to.
Okay. All right.
Especially the most recent episode, the one that Carl Weathers did.
Okay, I'm going to get caught up next week.
You have
dissect the Mandalorian.
You got to get to 5. Yeah, you got to get to 4. I think it was episode 4. Whatever
I'll
the Foundling. You got to get to the Foundling.
I'll binge it all this weekend.
And then just remember all that, because there's other things to talk about related to that one, and it's just like where it's just a shit show, and at the end you're like, what they? Okay. But
isn't it good when you accidentally just walk into exactly what's probably happening?
Well, I just wanted to bring up a couple more things, and all of a sudden I'm like, can't. Those are what that's what we got to talk about.
That's the shit. Okay.
So anyway, all right. Till next week. Peace out, and remember, catch up on your fucking Mando.
I can do that. What else is there to watch? Yeah.
All right. Peace out, everybody.
Peace, brother.
Go enjoy your blue, yellow, purple teams, or whoever you have in your brackets. Howdy.
Yeah, Royal Blue myself.